The absence of sound is the non-state from which all other states emerge and disappear. Silence, stillness, and awareness are not states, and they cannot ever be recognized in their entirety as objects. Silence in and of itself is the eternal witness, devoid of all shape or characteristics. True meditation does not have an objective or a direction. It is complete and utter silence and wordless submission in the form of prayer. In the end, everything is quite straightforward. Either we give in to the emptiness of quiet, or we don't. The practice of self-inquiry is one means for accomplishing this, and the practice of spiritual inquiry brings one to silence almost immediately. If you were to ask me who I am, if you are being completely truthful, you will discover that it immediately reduces you to quiet. Put the question to yourself: who am I? Because the brain is unable to provide an answer, there is an abrupt absence of sound. The purpose of the inquiry is to guide you into that condition of silence that cannot be fabricated, one in which thinking and the search for the appropriate emotional experience both become futile endeavors. If you look up my name, you will find. Or wondering what the reality is, you will discover that these questions bring you back to stillness. If you have a resistance to stillness, as most people do, and most people have a strong resistance to stillness, the instant you go back to that level of stillness, your resistance to stillness will go. It is like sprinkling drops of water onto a hot frying pan. The mind wanders around in search of anything to focus on, searching for an answer that can be conceptualized or an image. Do not give in to the temptation of your mind to travel into the past or the future. Be present in the here and now, and don't be afraid to entertain the idea that you might be free right now. Thus keep a low profile both here and now. There is no path to stillness other than the path of silence itself. You cannot be silent if you hold something that can only be obtained by having nothing in your possession. You cannot be somebody, you can only be nobody. In exchange for silence, we will offer up our thoughts, our convictions, our bodies, our minds, and our souls. The final thing that will give away is nothing at all. The quiet is broken only by the absence of sound. This is the only thing that breaks through it. The rest of what we are is just pounding on an empty door, since there is none. As soon as you express a desire for something other than stillness, you are once more forced out of the silence. The only thing that speaks is silence. Only when we begin as nothing and continue as nothing may the secret of quiet be revealed. The key is in one's own head. Because of this, I believe that every single phrase, every single book, every single teaching, and every single teacher may only get you to the door, and maybe even provoke you to go through it. Once you've arrived, you'll start getting very strong impressions of the silence that surrounds you. When this occurs, something unexpected appears out of nowhere and tries to enter the room without being someone in particular. This is the holy invitation that has been extended. When you look inward, you will find that silence is the very last and very final instructor, as well as the very last and very last teaching.